U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a 25% tariff on all car and light truck imports into the country.
Look, in his first few days in office, Donald Trump has clearly again threatened Europe with tariffs. How bad could the consequences for Germany be?
Now to the United States, where Donald Trump has threatened to impose 25% tariffs on imports from the European Union, accusing the bloc of taking advantage of his country.
Two economic superpowers, Germany and the United States, are locked in a dangerous game of brinkmanship. Tariffs, retaliation, and the threat of a full-blown trade war now hang over the global economy like a sword. But how did we get here? And what happens if diplomacy fails? Tonight we unravel the high-stakes battle that could redefine globalization itself. To understand this crisis, we must rewind. For decades, the US and Europe were steadfast allies, bound by shared values and trillions in trade. But in 2016, a seismic shift began. Donald Trump's America First policy targeted trade imbalances, accusing allies like Germany of exploiting the US. Fast forward to today. Tariffs on steel, aluminum. And now cars have shattered the old playbook. But why cars? For Germany, this isn't just business, it's identity. Germany's automotive sector isn't just an industry, it's a national symbol. Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen. These brands employ millions, fuel innovation, and account for 20% of Germany's exports. A US tariff on cars isn't just a tax, it's an existential threat. In March 2024, Washington crossed Berlin's red line. New tariffs, far steeper than expected, triggered a fury in Germany. Chancellor Olaf Scholz warned, "We will not sacrifice our industries on the altar of protectionism." But behind the scenes, Germany's strategy is twofold: rally the EU and hit back where it hurts. American tech giants and car imports. Apple, Google, Meta. These firms dominate Europe's digital economy. If Germany slaps tariffs on their services, the financial blow could ripple across Silicon Valley. Meanwhile, targeting Ford and Tesla imports would strike at Trump's base. But is Germany bluffing? Or is this the start of an economic, mutually assured destruction? Germany can't fight this war alone. Enter the EU, a bloc often criticized for disunity. But this time, France's Macron is standing shoulder to shoulder with Scholz, framing the tariffs as an attack on European sovereignty. Yet cracks remain. Eastern European nations, reliant on US military support, hesitate to antagonize Washington. Can the EU truly unite? Or will Trump's divide and rule tactics prevail? The EU's strength lies in its collective market. If they retaliate as one, the US faces a $1.8 trillion problem. But fragmentation? That's Trump's golden ticket. While Europe mobilizes, another player waits in the wings: Canada. America's northern neighbor is no bystander. If Ottawa joins the fray, the US could lose critical energy supplies and auto parts. Imagine tariffs on Canadian oil disrupting Texas refineries, or a shutdown of the Detroit-Windsor trade corridor. For Trump, this isn't just a European problem, it's a continental crisis. Canada has already warned of reciprocal measures. But with deep economic ties to the US, will Trudeau risk escalation? Or is this a calculated bluff to force Washington back to the table? Trade wars never stay contained. If the US and EU spiral, emerging economies, dependent on exports, will pay the price. Take Vietnam, a hub for electronics manufacturing. A slowdown in Europe could collapse its growth. Or Mexico. Auto factories supplying US dealers might shutter overnight. Meanwhile, China watches closely, ready to exploit Western division. The global South becomes collateral damage. Supply chains snap, inflation soars, and the 2024 crisis could echo the 1930s trade wars that deepened the Great Depression. All eyes now turn to back-channel talks. Behind the fiery rhetoric, whispers suggest Germany and the US are exploring compromises, quotas instead of tariffs, or carve-outs for critical industries. But time is short. With Trump doubling down and Germany's patience thinning, the window for peace is closing. Will the ghost of globalization past haunt the future? Or can a fractured world relearn the art of compromise? In the end, this isn't just about tariffs or trade balances.